Hello and welcome back to Exchanges, the Alex Martin podcast. It's the hottest day of the year, and hence the shorts. Speaking of hottest, please welcome Neil and Ted from one of, if not the hottest estate agencies in the country right now, Butler Stag.
Hey.
Was that good? Worth the wait?
Take that for an intro.
Yeah, what an intro. How are you going to follow that up?
How you dealing with the heat?
Yeah, I've got shorts on. I'm not sure about
Not
the
very well, mate. Yeah,
Light
yeah.
blue shirt is brave.
Yeah, it's bold. A lot of deodorant.
Really brave from you two over here. I don't know what's going on. Trousers, jeans. I don't know how you're doing that.
Didn't have a choice in the matter, yeah.
We were just talking before, this country is not prepared for heat. It's not made for heat. I can't wait for it to be winter. And when it's winter, I can't wait for it to be summer. Hey, mate. Talk about property. How do you two know each other? Because you're not in the same world, really.
I think through common acquaintances, really.
It is.
Mr. Seller.
Sam Seller. We met through him, but we met in Mippin.
We did indeed, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And
I was quite sober at that point.
Yeah.
I heard
That
that
changed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you went to
quickly.
Mippin for the first time last year.
We did.
We did.
And it rained.
Picked a perfect year for it,
Absolutely
yeah.
smashed it down.
Cats and dogs for 5 days, basically.
Yeah.
Other than, the morning.
Other than the
runs.
morning, I was marathon training at the time, so I was dragging Neil out of bed once we'd got back after about 2 hours sleep.
Yeah.
And we was running down the beach, weren't we? That was the
Yeah.
only time it was sunny. And as soon as we got back, he smashed it down.
Yeah, put our
Maybe.
business as ironic on the rain.
Well, it's 3 years we've been the only time it rained. So
Sorry about
We
that.
picked the worst.
don't
years.
go next year.
Yeah,
It was
It's
our
Mippin-
first time as well.
Is Mippin more beneficial? Who's Mippin most beneficial for? What sort of sector and property? Residential, commercial, solicitors? Like who benefits the most out of it?
Well, I mean, how did you who were you meeting out there?
I think it's very hard to put an ROI on the actual event, but I think what I took from it was you got in front of people like yourself, Alex, even Sam to an extent. You know, when you're back home and you're in the cut and thrust of the market, people struggle to relax in each other's company. There's always that next call to take or that next email to deal with. But out there, everyone just switched off, enjoyed each other's company. I think it was a good team building exercise
Yeah,
for
definitely.
us as well, because we'd just taken on a new land guy, Jamie. So we was, tucked up cozily in an Airbnb, got to know each other.
Bit too close.
Well, yeah, I don't know about that, Ted. Caveat that. But it was just
Tell us
nice.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just nice to get away and meet new acquaintances, find out more about other people's businesses. And yeah, look, we've picked up some good bits of business since we've been back.
You genuinely did.
Yeah, genuinely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
genuinely.
And what was that in terms of your instructions or what?
New instructions, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, new instructions. So I think just building trust and integrity and then obviously the social element follow-up side of the fact that we was out there, which was kind of unexpected for the industry, that predominantly resi agents would be going out there and trying to network. So there's been some bits that's come from that as well. So yeah, it was good. It was worthwhile.
Very nice. Okay, we like to sort of take it back to the beginning. Are you the founder of Butler Stag?
co-founder.
Co-founder. I love the
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, yeah.
What's that? Where's that inspired from?
Accidentally on purpose, really. So my surname, very few people can spell, which is Leahy. And my business partner's a Woolley, which again is a bit of a mouthful. So trying to combine the two names wasn't easy. Our former employers, who was my only employer in agency, was a company called Keaton's. And at the time, every London agent, which is what we wanted to be, seemed to end in ONS. So Foxtons, Chestertons, Keaton's, the list continues. And we wanted to combine two names that felt very established and traditional, like it'd been around for a long time and it was very familiar, but something that wasn't too snooty to take into East London, but was strong enough to uphold in West London. And then when we dialed that back as to what the name stands for, Butler is essentially the service that we wanted to offer. And then Stag denotes a strong and protective creature in its habitat that kind of protects its area and its habitats. And that's how we look after our clients' interests. So put the two together, it was quite a powerful play.
Sounds like a pub.
Sounds like a pub.
I'll tell you, how many times have you given that answer over the years as well? That is very...
Yeah, quite a lot. But it was like an accidental marketing mastermind, because whether we was in Shoreditch valuing houses, someone had a stag print on a cushion or a stag print on a wall. And then as we've come out into West Essex, obviously we're surrounded by Epping Forest. So the stags are synonymous with Epping Forest, and there's kind of, plays all over the place.
What is a stag?
A stag is a male deer.
The one with all the antlers.
Yeah, with
One
the
with the
antlers.
antlers.
Didn't know that.
Okay. Yeah.
Very.
Okay.
That's a trick question.
No. This is Matt. You're talking from.
Yeah.
I mean, usually you just say it's a deer.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
But
And-
Butler and Deer doesn't really go
No,
back.
it's not quite as powerful, is it?
Yeah.
And you say you're the co-founder. So who was your business partner? Sorry, did you?
So my business partner's a guy called Michael Woolley.
Yeah.
So we grew up together in Chinkford. He's one of 4 boys. I'm one of 3 boys, and we all overlap in age group. So that cornered the female Chinkford market basically, and we grew up playing rugby at Chinkford Rugby Club. So that's kind of where we formed a relationship, and then entered into business together after working at Keaton's for a while.
And you were skint when you started.
Yeah, I would say that I was from very much a working class background. My dad was a black cab driver. My mum didn't work when me and my brothers were young, and then she worked in adult education. So although I wasn't deprived, there wasn't a lot of free money around. So I was always motivated to go out there and earn and work, I would say.
And how long did it take for you to expand, get people like Ted in? How long was that?
So we left Keaton's in 2010. We had a year or so of doing our own projects, a bit of developing and refurbing and whatnot. And then we opened Butler Stag in 2012. So I would say it probably took us a good 5 to 6 years to build a presence and grow a brand.
Was it the plan to create the agency? Was it we're going to go in, do our own thing, development, property, and it happened? Or?
I think when we come away from Keaton's, it was almost like we've tried that, and as much as we love it, it was back then. It was 6 days, 5 days. It was long hours. Working till 7, 8 o'clock at night, traveling into London. So I think from a lifestyle choice perspective, we like the idea of developing for free time, but without lines of funding and credit that you require to turn your money over and recycle your money, it was obvious that we needed to have more of a platform in place and foundations. And, we both missed agency and wanted to go back in and give it a go, really.
Do you do anything like that on the side, though?
We do now, yeah.
Okay.
So Michael, my business partner, he relocated to Leon C from Butler Stag probably about 7 years ago. So we've always been very conscious of not conflicting our interests in terms of being active developers in the locations that we're agents for obvious reasons. So, we spotted gaps in the market down there. There's a lot of care homes hitting the market, vacant buildings, below market value assets. And we've kind of, created a bit of a portfolio in that location.
But that's separate to Butler and Stag.
That's separate. So that's another company that we own called Antler Developments. And there's various subsidiaries of that with different equity partners that we've
Heard
got.
of them?
Antler.
Yeah.
There's Antler. There is another Antler, but I think they're a new homes developer that are based in Surrey. But ours is not that famous.
And it's primarily resi. That's your core business. That's what you know, or
Resi and some commercial. So we've started to venture more into elements of the care home industry, which from picking up care homes and being approached by care home operators that are CQC registered that have wanted to take the building over. So we're just trying to create income really where we can and be sensible with our money.
So you'd see a building you think works as a care home, tidy it up, and then put a long lease and sit there on a nice little investment?
Exactly that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool,
So,
smart.
but in some care homes that we've bought, we've created serviced accommodation businesses.
Yeah. Okay.
So, we just look at each opportunity uniquely as to, what we feel works best and what complements what we're doing really. So,
and how do you find that as a business owner, weighing up the two businesses? I'm sure running Butler and Stag, I mean, it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
How do you weigh up between the two?
Michael predominantly spends more time on the investment and development side, our personal stuff, and Butler and Stag, I would say, is more my key focus. So, given the amount of departments that we've got and the size of the teams that we've got, I'm pretty much on that 95 to 98% of the time.
How big's the team?
We always sit around 40, so it can go up to 45 and down to 38. Depends on what markets are doing and how busy, frontline sales divisions are. But
You just sack people for the sake of it sometimes.
This is what we
said
said.
3 times.
Yeah.
Keep coming back.
I just
like
done
a
up at the
boomerang.
door, yeah, still got my key.
You're saying Matt comes out.
He's like David Brent.
I'm still be there. Work for free, yeah. My mum just kicks me out.
No, genuine question. If it's like, if the numbers are really high and it's like, oh, this person's good, but they're not that great, just get rid of them.
I think you, as agents, you'll go through market trends, and during those market trends, to supplement demand and inquiry levels, etc., you build teams, and you build teams quicker than you would like to build teams because you don't want to see drops in service. But within those teams, you're going to have your standout performers. You know, you're going to have your steady eddies, and then invariably you'll pick up a couple of passengers.
What's he?
He was a passenger, then he become a steady eddy, and now he's a performer. He's a maverick. Ted.
How long have you been there?
6 years now.
Ooh.
Yeah, 6 years. So I started in the Resi sales office, didn't I? Where probably that passenger is. I was only young though. Learnt my trade, a very different atmosphere, very different experience to where I was before. Learned everything off these guys and the senior guys in the office. And
Sorry, where were you before? Was it still as
I was in agency, but slightly different market, slightly different kind of clientele, bit slower. Still learning, but not kind of as cutthroat and as I suppose the better way to do agency, I suppose, and how it should be done properly. From what I learned when I first joined Butler and Stag, and worked my way up from there.
Butler and Stag all in one office?
No, so we're spread across 4 different locations. So you've got the Bow office on Roman Road, which has got about 12 staff in it.
And is that the original office?
No, the original office is our Shoreditch office. That's what we opened in 2012, and we closed that going into COVID, which was a tough decision because we always see that as our flagship office. But Shoreditch is a very strange area for resi agency. There's no real particular community there, which has always been a big play of ours to tap into the local community and grow brand presence. And it basically become a contest of who could spend the most on SEO to get called out of valuations. And there's some big dogs there to try
What's SEO?
Search engine optimization. So, if someone searches sell a property in Shoreditch, let a property in Shoreditch, you're up against some massive global organizations in terms of agents that spend a fortune on that stuff.
Right.
And it's like, how much money do you want to throw, at marketing investment? Is there easier gains to be had, easier opportunities? So we moved out, we had quite a big lettings portfolio in Shoreditch. We amalgamated that with our Bow office, moved some of the team over, and basically, just kind of, rode the wave thereafter.
Right. Ted, I'm going to give you an opportunity to impress the gaffer here. There are so many estate agents, like too many. Do you know the corner on Loughton where there's like 6 all within the same vicinity? As a client, why would I choose Butler and Stag?
I think the main reason we stand out, and look, as I say, I've worked in different agencies in the area, is just that service level. It's second to none within any area that we work, to be honest, and it's what we pride ourselves on, really. It's just the communication levels between the simple things. We're doing better than most, and it just stands out in performance. And it's just that snowball effect that if you're doing the basics right, like in any industry, you're doing the good things right as well. So we very, very rarely lose an instruction once we've got one, and if we do, it tends to be for a reason, sometimes out of our control, or someone didn't want to reduce or something like that. And we pride ourselves on that, really.
Impressed?
Very impressed, yeah. I'll just add to that. You're completely right. Look, there's a hell of a lot of agents to choose from. And we've always said, if you're a vendor and you live at Orlando and you live in a particular location and you're slightly naive to the industry and what you should look for, you could spin a bottle and wherever it lands, you could go with that agent. And invariably, you're not going to have a terrible service. I think from our perspective, we'd like to try and innovate where possible. So we'll always try and, be the first to do something, whatever that may be, whatever trend that is in the market. But I would also say we pay probably over generously. So if we've got a job out in the local area and 6 other agents have got that same job out, our basic might be slightly higher, our car allowance might be slightly higher, our commission structures are higher, but that attracts the best. Invariably, the football team that pays the highest wages will win the league. Man United being probably the slight one that bucks the trend. So if you want the best, you've got to pay the best to attract the quality. And if you've got the best, your clients are going to receive that. And then you combine that with the best marketing and the best of everything else, then that's something that's pretty powerful. So that's kind of what we've built a business on.
How are you wearing such a competitive sort of field? I presume some agencies it's a race to the bottom on fees. Yeah. How competitive is it? How much are you pushing up against other agents on fees? And
I think it comes down to the quality of the instruction. So and also the how realistic the client's going to be. Probably the same as you guys, right? If you've got someone that's will listen and take your advice and on board, value you as the expert, and they've got an asset that you think is very saleable or lettable that you can move quite quickly, you're probably going to be a bit more lean on what you can do the business for. But if you've got someone that's got their head in the clouds that knows it all, wants to overprice, wants to drag it out, they're not in a rush, which is always the famous last words, isn't it? Which is what an agent doesn't want to hear, because the longer the months go on and the longer it goes for, the less profit in the overall fee at the end. So I think we'll bend within reason, but I like us to be irresistible, not say yes to everything, not bend over for everyone. If it works for us, we'll do it. If it doesn't work for us, say no, thank you, thanks for the opportunity, but let another agent have a go.
Do you have the problem of other agents overvaluing just to get the instruction?
All the time. Yeah. It's a common wide industry. I actually see a headline in one of the industry eyes or whatever it was, where one agent was kind of saying there should be an industry standard of a 2-week sole agency agreement. No agent should have the ability to get any more than 2 weeks on a sole agency agreement. And I think if they'd done that, you'd start getting more realistic valuations. Yeah. Without mentioning names, London's biggest agents, which is what they profess to be, have built a business around gaining control of the instruction, they call it. So it's a 20-week sole agency agreement. Within the first 2 weeks, they're browbeating the vendor into reducing their price because they've locked them up for another 18. They can't go anywhere. And by that point, they might have found their dream home and haven't got a choice but to reduce.
Yep.
And then get clobbered with a ransom of an agency fee as well. So I think there's certain things that need to change in terms of regulation. I think it's slowly starting to come in, but overvaluing is a massive problem.
Name
So
drop.
it's the same
Name
in
drop.
commercial, isn't it?
Name drop, Foxtons.
Ooh. Thanks, Tommy.
That's quite common knowledge, Matt. I
Yeah.
mean,
Is it?
it's not,
Yeah.
no miracles.
It's not really a mic drop, that
No,
one. No,
really?
no.
Are they not nice people?
No, no one said that.
No.
Sorry. Who said that?
Okay. But is that not a
I
clever?
was going to say, difference in commercial though is that we're not sitting on a high street with 5 or 6 other parties next to us. We're quite a niche.
Yeah.
Especially
Operate.
for us as an agency.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't really tie people into minimum periods, especially when we're working with charities. They know we got to go to market for 6 weeks and there's a steady enough process. But because we're so niche at what we do, we're not tying people down for 20 weeks. We've got the comfort that we're going to justify what we've quoted and deliver on that. So,
Do you have a niche? Is there anything that you specify in?
Do we have a niche? I would say our most recent niche is land and new homes outside of London. So inside London, land and new homes are very common practice. A lot of the big agents offer that service. Outside of London, particularly in Essex, not many agents focus on it.
Everyone does it, but there's a difference in doing it, which is what we were guilty of before we specialised. But there's a different art to land and new homes.
Can you define land and new homes as me being a commercial guy? What does that mean?
So the land side is as it says on the tin. So we're looking for land opportunities away from commercial that unlock into residential developments. So if you've got, a field that's sitting on the edge of a town centre, would the local planners look at that favourably as an edge of settlement development opportunity? So every local authority has their local plan and their housing targets that get rammed down their throats by the government. They've got to build, and they've got to build a certain amount of dwellings within their districts every 10 years. So our area is very green, being that we're in Essex and we're around Epping Forest and those kind of areas. So you've got a lot of rural locations. The only way you can really unlock a green belt site is edge of settlement. So you're right on the edge of a township, and that's an obvious place to build. Or an infill site. So you've got a row of properties, row of properties, and that gap is a small kind of field location. You might be able to unlock that for development opportunities. And then brownfield is kind of pubs, petrol stations, industrial buildings, agricultural buildings where there's already a footprint on that particular development in terms of buildings, and you can repurpose that for residential.
You don't develop yourselves, do you?
Personally, more so refurbishment as opposed to building. It's not something we've really got into.
And being in the land sector, I mean, we all know the last 2 to 3 years, the carnage that's come with it. with planning backlogs, land costs, build costs. Has the market changed over the last 2 to 3 years? Is it still as busy as ever, or
it's harder to put business together and to put those deals together. And you're completely right. So if you go back to pre-COVID, 2019, the average cost of building was about £200 a square foot. That now has probably risen to 250. So that's an issue. Obviously, borrowings changed dramatically. So commercial finance, you could probably put in, or development finance, 6.5%, 7%. That's now 10%. And the market softened a little bit. Certainly, we see an increase 220 to 222, but then rates have hit, 5%, then 6%, now come back to, 5% on average in terms of borrowing costs. So it's been a perfect storm. So, take this week as an example, we got sent a warehouse in Plaistow, and the owner's looking at getting a consent to 9 residential units. Once you dial that back, in terms of land value, it's worth more as a warehouse.
Yeah.
And that's quite common now. So we're seeing a lot of residential developers and investors migrate to the commercial space now because there's just easier gains and wins there.
We see that all the time.
Yeah.
We get developers, they might be buying a site and they're saying they're doing it for development, but they're actually talking to us saying, can we get a commercial user in there and create an investment? And we're doing it sort of undercover, but we deliver on that basis. The existing use value is more than the resi play.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's another trend that we're having to get used to. And we've seen those, I've been doing it for well over 20 years now. So you kind of, as long as you adapt and you're on the front foot and you change tacts in those different conditions, then generally you're fine.
I've got a question for you.
Go for it.
Do you get on with other resi agents?
No.
Now, yes. You're going to have the ones that you don't like, and they're just for the reasons you don't like them because they're arseholes, for want of a better phrase.
Do they think you're an arsehole?
Probably, but then I would like to think I'm relevant to them. It must be that I'm doing something right and I'm successful. If I was irrelevant, they'd have no opinion of me. So
they don't hate nobodies.
Exactly that. So that hopefully makes me a somebody. But I would say, from a new homes perspective, we've got some fantastic relationships with Savills, Knight Frank,
JLLs, the Nationals. Yeah,
we collaborate with them really well on new home schemes where we're very fair with each other, we're very respectful of each other.
Are you collaborating as in it's a you build, so you're the local agent, they're the national agent, and you've come together?
Yeah, so they might have traded the land, and they want the resales naturally, but the landowner might have, or the developer might have more confidence in the local player having involvement. So, and that's for us to go in there and try and add value, but without down talking, their credentials as a global agent. So, and again, I think that's just about respect and knowledge and
it's definitely that. And we have expertise and they have as well. And ours tend to sit when we're joint with these guys is in the local market and knowing the right values and knowing the right buyers, which is where, as I say, we add our value. And then they've got the international reaches in some circumstances and different parts of the world that they can go and attack. So as a two-pronged approach, we're kind of covering most aspects of everything, aren't we? And it is in all aspects of the word, it is a collaborative approach with these guys at the moment that we've got, and it works.
Is that joint agents, like officially joint agency, or just like you market it?
Yeah, it's joint agency. Really. I think collaboration's much easier B2B. Anything that's B2B led, it's much easier to collaborate. And generally, the business that you're dealing with will understand the value of having two agents and the different skill sets that each company bring, and they're happy to sort a fee arrangement that suits all parties. B2C, it just doesn't work. It's cutthroat, kind of agents worry about talking to each other, dropping their guard, not telling someone how well or how badly they're doing. But it's the agents that you meet when the market's shit and it's on the floor and there's, we're having it off at the moment. We're absolutely flying. I can't, that kind of thing is something that, I
think that's the difference with the commercial sector. We work quite closely with other agents who might be in the same sector as us, because from an acquisition perspective, it's fairly common for like a search agent, someone to be instructed to act on behalf. People just don't do that buying houses. No. I mean, I wouldn't do it if I'm buying a house.
You always say that when people ask about paying us a fee. Like, it's very different to residential, isn't it?
Yeah. Our whole world is about getting on with your other commercial agents and building those bonds and doing deals together, one on one side, one on the other side, repeat business. where you guys, you just don't have that. Is there any?
Presume on a land basis, it's a lot more.
I mean, even on new homes. So, like, given that we're now, we would argue that we're very much a specialist new homes agent,
Definitely.
and we have that package and that offering. Is when an agent that isn't necessarily specialist new homes is acting on behalf of a developer, but not getting the results. Some developers are like, look, I've done a lot of work. I don't want to upset them, but I want to bring you guys in. And they're looking at us for kind of advice and guidance. And we'll say, well, look, what fee you on? Why don't we just elevate the fee a little bit, which is a lot cheaper than reducing each unit by 25, 30 grand or whatever you've got to do. And we'll carve that fee up. So, the leading agent, whoever outsells the other agent, gets the lion's share, and the secondary agent gets a smaller share. Their costs are covered, so you're not completely, throwing them in the bin. And they're like, oh, can we do that? And it takes us a little bit of an educational process with the other agent to say, look, we're not trying to have each other over. Look, it's for the greater good of the developer. We just want to get them sold, and we'll work together to achieve that. So, I think it's becoming more common. But
do you ever get people acting for buyers coming to you? I mean, my business was built on acquisition, going out there, particularly with the faith market. They couldn't access the commercial market, so they'll pay me a fee to go find them a building. So do people knock on your door and say, I've got this client, that client?
Yes, but it happens in two spaces, and generally they both equate to be the same thing. Top end of the market, so what I'd call the prime and super prime market, which is prime, I'd say over 2.5 million, super prime over 4 million in our region. If you go to Surrey, those levels change. And it's generally people within the public eye. So they want some kind of arm's length guard, or they've been recommended through people in their particular industry. Speak to that agent because they're very good at that. They've got an intel with what agent you should be selling through, and they'll help you with your purchase on negotiation side.
Okay.
So that happens quite a lot.
No, I presume you get agents asking for splits and stuff. So back in my day in estate agency, you get a call from an agent, a property you were marketing, will you split your fee in it? You spend that, piss off, we're selling it. Is that still common? Does that happen? Or
I mean, if it depends. If they're a proper search agent, they're retained.
Yeah.
So their client is paying for their time and their service. So they've probably got some kind of upfront onboarding fee as a golden handshake. Look, go to work for me, start the search, and then they're going to get a percentage of their purchase price. Generally, the sale price will be dealt with by the agent. They might come to us and say, look, we've introed you. Can we have a little bit? And as long as you know that up front, you're just working that into whatever you're going to quote the client. But generally, they're retained if they're a proper search agent.
What's a day in the life of Ted look like?
It's busy, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's busy.
He's going to say that.
What day of the week is it?
Monday.
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 Yesterday. So yesterday I woke up, had some breakfast, went to work, come home.
Went for a run, I'm assuming.
Dinner? No, I didn't. No. Some dinner, went to bed. That's about it, really.
But what are your day-to-day? What are your day-to-day duties?
It changes. So my week's divided, really. So a Monday and a Friday are quite a similar day. And then a Tuesday and a Wednesday and a Thursday can be quite liquid, to be honest. But a Monday, generically, most of the morning, you are catching up from the activity that's taken place over the weekend. Naturally, weekends are the busiest time for viewings and activity across the board, not just on the new homes. So a Monday morning, for example, you'll be speaking to the sales teams, speaking to all the negs. How did you get on here? How did you get on there? Any feedback, anything that I can give to the developers as constructive criticism? Every Monday, I've got a Zoom at 10 o'clock on one site and with the bank, and then another site at 3 o'clock. So that's every Monday without fail as well. But again, that's kind of ties into what we said. It's a generic roundup of what's happened on the activity and what's going on. Hopefully dealing with offers and bits and bobs moving forward in the afternoon from Monday. Then the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the midweek, that's going after your new business, speculative calls, looking after anyone that you might have not spoken to from the weekend. Can we get any price reductions? What's going on with this site? Anything we can be doing, anything in our control that we can change, making sure you're on top of everything, making sure you're speaking to everyone. And then a Friday is a slight reverse of the Monday where you're updating everyone on we've got this many viewings or this is what's happening on the site this weekend and
mentioned golf.
Going from there. And Saturday's golf, Sunday's golf.
How do you after you business?
How?
Yeah.
different ways. Depends on the size and shape of the sites. If we're looking at a larger scheme, it tends to be either through connections that we might already have or might already know, that we know about, that they're dealing with already, and we're saying, "Hey, you getting on with this?"
So, but is that bring that guy taking for a game of golf, or is that
it can be?
Yeah,
it can be as simple as that, or lunch, or something like that, just to kind of have that conversation of what's going on. And it can be as cold as simply sending letters out to people from businesses to, "We notice you've got a planning consent for 10 houses here. Are you building it out? Are you sending it with the consent? What are you doing?" Door knocking. Told to go away quite a bit on people's front doors.
Jehovah's
what are you doing?
Witness.
Depending on
That's proper old school agency, isn't it? Yeah.
What do you say to them? Do you want me to sell
when
your
I say your
house?
site, mate.
Well, it's kind of, so the door knocking side of things won't generally be a cold door knock. It would have been a process of letters and whatever else.
It's a warm.
I mean, we also get asked, you missed out as well, Tuesday to Thursday, you're pricing a hell of a lot. So we get developers from, I'm looking at a site, I'm doing my due diligence and appraisal work. Can you price this for me? Here, it's got a consent. Here's the schedule of accommodation. That's the size of each unit. That's, here's a site plan in an ideal world. And then Ted will put together what is quite a professional pricing report. So we get that professional.
I thought that you would hire valuers for that, wouldn't you?
No, that's us.
No, that
for the resale element, that's us.
Right.
They're the experts.
We're more real time. I see someone the other day, actually. I was in Phone and Boys, and someone I know come up to me and he said, "Oh, I'm looking at selling my mum's house. I might have a private buyer. What I was going to do was get a rich chartered surveyor to red book value it." And I went, "Well, that's probably going to cost you about 600 quid to £1,000. And what that surveyor's going to do is see all the Butler and Stag boards up locally and phone us and go, 'Can we have your free most recent comps?' So I'll save you £1,000 and I can send a value around this afternoon." He goes, "Well, I might not sell it for you. Might be a complete waste of time." I said, "Well, I get that, but I'm a big believer on karma. If we do a good deed for you, it'll come back one way, shape or form. And, you'll tell people that we've done you a good deed and da-da-da-da-da." So, that's what we've done. So, valuers, in terms of condition of property, structures, defects, that kind of thing, we're not qualified to talk about that. But valuation, we're probably the best at it.
It's a bit like us. We're not registered valuers.
That's it.
But bring us a church in southeast London, we're going to
tell
you.
Be a church or a
Well,
nursery.
bring us
where you've been.
Whatever we specialise in, we're going to give you a concrete figure that are valuable.
That's
It's normally good enough,
scratch
isn't it?
around.
It's a lot more focused on that.
The amount of times we get that call, "Can you value this?" And I'm like, "Well, does it need to be red book, or do you just want to know what it's worth?"
Yeah.
Because the value is only going to come. On our site, we have a portal, so you can see all the deals done, and all the bank valuers come and get the comps from us because we're so niche. So I'll tell you what it's worth. We're not going to charge you anything. And like you said, karma, everything.
You live and die.
Do you truly believe that karma is real? Scientifically.
Here he goes.
Scientifically. I think, look, very few people expect anything for free in life. I think particularly, and I don't know whether that's more of a London offering because of, I don't know, the hustle and bustle of city life. It's like you go out to the sticks and you're walking down the road and someone will say hello to you. Yeah. You walk down the road in London, someone say hello to you, you're like, "What do you want?" He's off my watch. He's after something. Yeah. So I think we are geared to think that no one will do something for free. And when you do something for free, or you're genuine and sincere, people will take stock of that. Whether that's in real time or whether that's a month down the line, 2 years down the line, they'll think, "Do you know what? He was a good guy. He gave me the time of day. He didn't have to do that. I'm going to go back and give him an opportunity." And I think if you do that enough times, generally it repays.
And changing the approach from London to Essex, have you had to change the way you strategize, structure the business, or it's all about the service you provide?
I think without sounding cliche, and I said this the other day because someone was filming me for something, and I said, regardless of the emergence of AI, it was a porno. Regardless of the emergence of AI and technology, it will always be a people-led business, and relationships are everything. And the more you harbour those relationships and look after people, the better your business will be. And I think, I think what really my experiences of buying in Essex when I was looking to buy was, I had unresponsive agents, people that just didn't really care, wasn't offering any kind of quality of service, and it all just seemed quite slow and ponderous. And where I'd been used to working in and around East London, It was fast, it was furious, it was efficient, it was cutthroat to a certain extent. And when we deployed those traits in Essex, for me, it was like taking candy from a baby.
Really?
It was like we was in, done, transacted before the agents had even blinked and realised what had happened. I think the quality of agencies improved over time, but yeah, I think it's people skills and it's efficiency and it's paying attention to the detail. Being an agent, none of us are rocket scientists or the most intelligent people you ever meet. We can problem solve. We can adapt to different people's personality traits, wants, and habits. And I think it's just being able to understand people, listen to them, and facilitate on their needs. And if you do that, you're a very good agent.
Do you?
Well said.
Yeah.
Very well said, by the way.
Thank
Great
you.
clip.
Yeah. Do you think there is a difference between residential agents and commercial agents, and what do you think the difference is?
Jump in if you want, Ted.
I've got lots to say on it. But
I think there is a difference.
Yeah.
I do think there is a difference. But I also think that comes from the mentality from the outset. You've quite clearly said already that you collaborate with everyone straight off the bat, whereas we have to work a bit harder, don't we, to collaborate and actually have that connection with other agents. So I think
Joe used to work in Resi, didn't you, Joe?
Yeah.
Different.
What do you think the
Definitely.
difference is?
I
You
would
just
say
robbed Ted of his answer there. He was
no. Go on,
No,
Ted,
you're
and then
probably about to say the same thing.
no, go on,
Yeah,
and I'll jump in afterwards.
yeah. The Resi side, I think, is a bit more about yourself as an agent, like an individual agent, and you're after number one and going for it like that in that sense of the business. And then I think commercial side of it is a more collaborative approach. It's the main two differences that I've seen when dealing with commercial and Resi, for sure.
I think my background, it was literally get the deal done.
Yeah.
From an estate agency perspective, there's the phone, go and drum up some business. I think with us, we're much more collaborative as a team, and it's difficult to put into words what the difference is. I think yours is fast paced. Most commercial agents, especially the West End agents, they see it, wait for the phone to ring. I think us as an agency, we're not like that. So we're quite different from your typical commercial agent, I would have thought. But
I think commercial agents, I'm generalising, but they're snobs. Yeah. Commercial agents don't want to be called agent. They hate being called an estate agent. I'm a surveyor. I've done a degree in 3 years, whatever. Yeah. And they write a fantastic report and do all the rest of it. But are they good agents? No. And I said it in previous podcasts. If I'm employing someone, I want them to have some Resi experience because they have game and they have hustle and they know how, give them a phone, give them a computer and a desk, and they'll go out there and make money if they're good. Yeah. But commercial agents, it's a very different mentality.
Yeah.
You didn't ever do Resi.
I did a bit of Resi.
You didn't.
Never.
So you two did.
Yeah.
Are you looking to make that switch over and do a little bit more commercial work in the future?
We are doing it to an extent. So so Jamie, who does a lot of our land stuff, you guys will know land's hard, it's arduous. A lot of deals are not stacking at the moment. And he's got consciously, subconsciously, there's the new build stuff that we're doing might be mixed use. So, if it's got commercial, why can't we deal with it? We've got the contacts, we've got the know-how. And a guy called Wayne Cohen that heads up our West Essex lettings operation, there's just not too many accidental landlords to the market. So he's probably got a bit of bandwidth his end. He wanted to retrain, so he's now retraining on commercial lettings, and we're going to enter that space. So as some of our clients have left Resi and gone to commercial, we either let them go or we pivot and diversify to make sure we stay with
move
them.
with the times. That's
exactly that.
Especially in a market like this.
Exactly that. You either sit there and you moan about it, or you readapt and you reinvent yourself. So again, my experience of commercial agents, obviously outside of you guys, is that they're a bit complacent, a bit despondent, not that interested. So again, if we can bring that fast-paced element of our agency side, I think it bodes well for us going forward, all being well.
Any advice?
No, I agree with everything he says. There is they got their degree and they can be quite sleepy. And if you step outside of that, you'll grow and you'll do well. Yeah. You'll fly.
Yeah, I think the difference is they're on their higher basic or their salary. They're not geared up to churn out deals. That's the difference.
They even talk to us like we sometimes call West End agents, and they see us as completely different.
Weird. It's funny, isn't it? Yeah, it's funny.
Are Butler and Stag en route, on the right trajectory for their most successful year in terms of turnover?
We had our best ever quarter one, bankings. It's probably going to be followed by one of our worst ever quarters in terms of quarter two. So we're talking about this on the way in here. Residential stamp duty changed as of the 1st of April. So it's largely impacted first-time buyers in terms of the way that their income's changed. And
Did it go up?
Yeah, it went up. And
Massively.
Enough for it to make a little bit of a difference to drive transactions to be completed by the 31st of March. So what we see in that first quarter was collaboration within the industry, an industry of different sectors, from conveyancers to mortgage brokers to agents, pulling together for the greater good to get deals completed by the 31st of March. So we was turning around exchanges in 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Come the 1st of April, conveyancers are literally laying on the floor, bent over their desks, almost in pain and anguish that they've worked so hard. And lenders are back to nitpicking over every single element of what's been brought up in conveyancing or over a mortgage applicant submission, and we're back to 16-week, 17-week exchanges. So it's just painful trying to get.
That's how long it takes.
It's just painful getting deals through. So painful. And now the heat's come out of the market. Now everyone's second guessing every decision. Now everything that flags up that wasn't an issue in a survey is now an issue, and it's a reason to try and renegotiate. And yeah, we're back in that situation really. So
swings and roundabouts.
Swings and roundabouts. Yeah, look, we know the market's peaks and troughs, and you just have to be patient and consistent really, just to try and move deals through and get outcomes. But it feels like hard graft at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. It's spot on really. We're putting deals together. It's keeping them together as well at the moment. That's the science behind it all. But again, comes with what we try and do better than most, isn't it? As long as everyone's talking, we tend to keep them there, don't we?
And is it our values up or down? I'm looking Essex way at the moment, and I've been keeping my eye on the market for the last 3 months, and it doesn't look like values are coming up. It looks like people are dropping the prices consistently at the moment.
So we have a varied view of the market. So looking at our Bow office, for instance, they're very busy, transacting on a lot, and they're selling a lot. When you look at what people are paying for property in and around East London, particularly Bow or Tower Hamlets, less so Hackney, which bucks the trend slightly, people are selling at values that they paid in and around 2015. So that market hasn't really moved. It's been stagnant. And you could argue that Brexit played a bit of a part of that, where a lot of European nationals went back to their home countries. The insertion of buy-to-let tax in 2015 probably ripped away 25% of that activity in East London. So there's value in East London. In West Essex, prices probably went up between 20 and 25% from 2020 to 2022. Then we had the Liz Truss quasi-Quarteng saga and interest rates spiking. Values come down about 5-6%. So we're still arguably between 15 and 19% in front of where we was in 2020. If you haven't got a 40% deposit, you're somewhere in 20 or 25, you're borrowing money close to 5%. So elevated prices, high interest rates, we're just struggling to make it work between seller and buyer, and there's a gap between the two. You get a realistic seller, realistic buyer, deal done, but it's hard to make that work. So that, what you asked earlier, between $1 million and $2 million, that's the market I would say that's been impacted the most. That's where there's a want and a need for people to buy, but they just can't afford it.
When is the sort of hot spot? Is there like what month of the year do you see most people picking up homes?
Good question. It trends. I'd say now July is always a good month.
Is that buying?
For buyers? Yeah. You see a complete and utter switch off in August for summer holidays. And then it kicks back off in September. I'd say July is good. March is normally decent.
Yeah.
September is good. Everywhere in between kind of floats. August.
Right.
Next to nothing.
August and December.
December.
Yeah.
I think it's so hard to read. When I was a young agent, spring was always good. September was always good. So September, people had a chance of completing and having a new house for Christmas. So that was always a motivation. Yeah. Then your springtime, there's a need for people to move to get into, for schools, catchments, and all the rest of it. And yeah, it's a time that you get out in the garden and make your garden look at its best and whatnot. Now it's just all over the place. It just depends, really does depend what's going on politically, economically, what Trump's done, you know, what fireworks have been let off there. And through no reason or another, I'll look at a diary on a Saturday across all offices and we're rammed. Then you see a rate cut, or we have a rate cut, and I think, right, following weekend's going to be really busy. We're dead. It's just sometimes there's trends that you can't explain.
Looking into your crystal ball, the next 12, 18 months, where do you see the resi market going? I presume it's difficult to predict, but
I think it's ready to go up.
Yeah.
I do think it's ready to go up, but I think that's going to be hinged to borrowing. And I also think it's going to be hinged on schemes that are needed, particularly for first-time buyers.
Yeah.
Like Help to Buy was a massive sucker punch to the new build flat market. You know, anything that was any flatted schemes that were being constructed in the lead up to autumn of 22 were flying out, you know, before they was even finished. As soon as they put Help to Buy, it was like a hammer blow to the market, and no one wanted to build flatted schemes. No one wanted anything to do with them. That market started to come back a little bit now, particularly around East London.
East London, yeah.
Yeah, I do. Reading the pieces that I'm reading, I think the prices will go up within the region of about 5% as an average.
I think the difficulty is certainly for my generation. First mortgages were at 1%, 1.5%. That now realigning, it's difficult. People trying to go up the ladder.
The mortgage almost doubled, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean it doubled overnight, and fortunately I was paying next to nothing, so it was lovely. I mean, we were having it off, and rent was far more expensive. Now you look at it, mortgage rates are so high, you can go and rent somewhere more affordable than buying. But hopefully that tails off over the next 12, 18 months. But
yeah, it's nuts. I mean, look, your biggest cost and outgoing should always be your mortgage, right? Everyone should be on a repayment mortgage and trying to pay down that debt in 20, 25, 30 years to know that when you ease down working, you own something outright. I think that's obviously become harder. You know, I'm 43, you know, for the millennials that are 25, that must be hard to put themselves in that situation, particularly if they're living in London, they're not from London, they've probably been renting for a sustained period of time. And if you're paying inflated rents, how are you meant to save a deposit? It's a vicious circle, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, we sold some real big ticket houses to some affluent people over, you know, 21, 22. And they come out of fixed mortgage products 2-3 years, and that's a flip to interest only. They couldn't afford to. That's to rent their own house basically, because they've gone from a 1% interest rate to a 9.5% interest rate. It's massive.
Yeah,
I thought to get a 35-year mortgage. I was like, wow,
it is daunting. I'm looking to move out, and just looking at the rates and stuff. It's like I live at home, and I don't necessarily need to move out. It's just like you don't want to make that jump until you 100% need to, because it is.
Get yourself up at Annabelle's every Thursday. Find a rich bird.
Yeah. He's trying.
That's why I am every week.
Let's say I had
Satellite home as long as you can, mate. That's fine.
let's say I had 50 grand cash. What can I do with that?
Red
Not
or black?
much.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Red or black?
Fruities.
Yeah.
Fruities.
Yeah. Stick on the fruities, mate.
Stick on the fruities.
Smash that button.
Walk
You
into
not do anything.
Depends
You
where,
can't limit now.
walk
and then.
into
where you want to go, though. Do you want to
let's
live
say I
up
wanted
north
to go
or
Essex.
Okay.
How much?
Arlo?
50 grand.
Yeah, but mortgages.
What
People
you-
think it's about the deposit, but it's not. It's about your income. What you can.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah.
what
Okay,
debt
let's
you
say
can
I've got
find a garage at
5 grand a
the
month income, 50 grand cash.
He doesn't, by the way.
It sounded like 100 grand away. You said cash.
You're gonna
It's
need
worth
a
more. Hold on, it's worth more. The way you said that.
Yeah, you're going to need a girlfriend also earning 5 grand a month.
Well, she's
Yeah.
not on 5 grand, but
Yeah.
let's just say hypothetically, because there might just be someone watching this that is in
So you're on
That
60
boat.
grand salary.
60 grand salary
Yeah.
and I've got 50 grand cash.
It's not going to go very far.
You can
No.
borrow the bones of 300 grand,
Yeah,
say.
you're buying it about
And
3.5.
you got
Oh,
50 grand cash. Obviously, you've got
Maybe a
legals,
bit more,
stamp.
depending on what you do with your mortgage. You're about 350.
So you could buy a smaller 2-bed in and around the central line, kind of. Would you get a 350? Would you maybe Abridge, places like
Abridge,
places-
North Weald, maybe.
North Wales, Stafford Abbott,
Abbots.
something smaller,
Gaff or flat?
flat. It's going to be a flat.
Yeah, mainly a flat.
Flip it.
Probably
out.
the flats as the service charges are expensive.
Yeah.
They all adds up, doesn't it?
Playing
Yeah.
the block managers.
Is it ever going to become affordable ever again, do you reckon?
Well, this is what
You
we're
can
saying.
afford it.
So
What are you on about?
That was hypothetical.
Look at him, he's a broken man. Look.
50 grand cash.
Yeah. No,
You're
that's
a
what I'm
rubber
aiming
bank,
for.
mate.
Put it all on black.
Yeah, that's
Do you
it.
reckon?
Buy
I
at
have to.
250 and spend the 100. Black.
Or
don't
buy
wanna
somewhere up north and let your money work for you.
Yeah.
That's the catch
Interesting.
22.
It's just so expensive to like. How are people planning on moving out anytime soon? People that work at Tesco's on £12 an hour. How are they ever
You're
going to
probably
move
asking
into
the
a
wrong
home?
people because that's like bottom of the barrel. Not bottom of the barrel. That's the
Well,
wrong,
no,
wrong way.
but
But
they
you're
still have an
the
idea.
value properties
Yeah.
you're dealing with, I presume, are circa £1 million on average.
Yeah, I would say. I mean,
Towards
East
that
London, I would say probably the average spread is about 700 grand.
Yeah.
And then as you come out to West Essex, probably, if I look across the board, our average sales value is about 900.
Yeah.
So we've kind of unintentionally positioned ourselves in that market, really. We don't get a lot of lower end stock.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I really like your photos that you use. Who does them?
That
That's-
is.
I wonder why.
We're thinking about changing them, actually.
Yeah. I'm not actually. I've been waiting 3 days for a set of photos.
Ooh,
to actually,
sounds
still haven't
Now,
come
he's,
back.
he's in Jamaica.
Yeah, well,
He's
that's
not
it.
interested.
I'm still
Well, he's got a
waiting
new
for him, by the way.
employee who Matt would call his girlfriend as well. So that's why. It's a
How's
bit of a
that?
I've
fight.
met her as well, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah, they're on the verge of bankruptcy now.
Yeah.
Who are they?
It is Mode.
And how long have you been working with Mode?
We was outside of
What
commercial agency client number 1.
Really?
Is Torrent paying you money for this?
The OG.
No, but Soren showed me a lot of love. I think we should show him some love
getting
back.
plugged,
Your
didn't he?
girlfriend's
You
showing a lot of
were, are
love.
you no
Yeah.
longer then, or because
No, we was client number 1. So, I think Torren via Sam was doing a lot, once he come out of investment banking, was doing a lot on commercial spaces and whatever else. Sam was sending him here, there and everywhere, with you guys as well. And then kind of I looked at what he was doing and how he was doing it in terms of his quality of photography, his ideas and views on videos and videography. And like I said earlier, we try to be innovators in terms of what we're doing and how we do it. Torren built his business around that, which has been a fantastic business. I guess the issue is, and I've had this conversation with Torren, so I'm not talking out of turn, as his profile's risen and he's become busier, he's now working for a lot of our competitors.
Ooh.
So, which isn't, look, it is what it is, right? We can't feed his entire operation, but if he's doing that for everyone else, how do we then elevate ourselves to the next level? And that's,
You buy him.
We buy him. Don't think I could afford him now.
not on a beach in Jamaica? I don't
No,
know.
exactly that. So that's a conversation that Torren and I have regularly. So we're always trying to push to the next level and do something different. And I've got a good enough relationship with Torren that if I have an idea, he'll always try and facilitate that idea to push us on. And it's, like we said earlier, it's a competitive industry. So if everyone looks the same on Instagram and has the same videos, how do you differentiate yourself? So constantly trying to reinvent ourselves and do something a little bit different.
And talking of scaling businesses, how's your role changed in the last 10 years within Butler and Stag?
It's less client led on the resi resale side, so I don't get out on as many valuations now, and I'm not involved in the cut and thrust of the deal. So we've got quite a big presence in Chinkford, and my mum and dad are retired, always walking around. Oh, you've got a board up here. What's that on for? I haven't got a clue what it's on for. I'm not involved in it. I'll go and have a look and entertain a conversation. I miss that element of it sometimes, and I think that's what kind of drove me to start the Land and New Homes operation, to get back in front of the client. And it's like you miss the thrill of the deal as an agent.
Deal junkie.
Just that's the best part of sitting in meetings with staff talking about targets and KPIs and whatever else. That's not the most enjoyable element for me. So
I was going to raise that staff. Yeah, I mean my team is small.
Well,
How do you do it with up to
Yeah,
get fucked?
That was good.
sorry.
he's been sitting there in silence waiting for that.
Don't say a word. And
It's like a sniper come up from behind the sofa.
very
That was
original.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I imagine staff is a nightmare, but you tell me. I mean, I've been very lucky, and I've now got Sophie, who's great.
It's never. It's like Jenga. It's never finished, right? You put a bit in, a bit falls out. You're always. I mean, we never stop interviewing, never stop looking
And
for.
I mean, I imagine. Sorry, you've got you must have in a sales environment a lot of egos and everyone's chasing the fees. We've got our structure works, everyone's happy and earning off each other, but I imagine it's very different. And do you get pull out arguments? That's mine, that's yours, you stole my client. That must be so much drama.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, I mean, there's always political issues in every office. I think we're quite detailed and careful with how we put teams together. So you can only ever have one maverick in any office. You know, if you have more than 2 mavericks, you're gonna have a sparring match every single day with people fighting over, you know, the bread that's on the table, as it were. So generally within each team we'll have, you know, a maverick, a facilitator, an organizer, and someone there that doesn't cherry pick, that picks up the pieces behind.
Were you the maverick?
Good question.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I grew up in a sporting background with 2 older brothers, so I think I was always vying to be the best and to shine the light on me. And I never got comfortable with the thought of coming second. So I always wanted to try and trailblaze and lead and do things to to the best of my ability.
Is that
So
why I hear you're rubbish at paddle?
Ooh.
Did you hear that?
I'll let everyone else talk about my paddle skills.
No good.
I'm
I
pretty
hear you
good.
never.
Yeah,
I
I'm
hear
pretty
that's what
good.
you do is play paddle and golf. You don't
Most
even want to go
mornings,
to the pub.
most mornings, I'm active down the David Lloyd in Chigwell, so it's quite competitive down there.
It's
Yeah.
so hard to
For
get
those
caught.
in and around it. Yeah, you got to
He's
be on
wrong,
it.
do you
know?
Oh,
That's
he knows
you're
what
one-
it's doing.
yeah, you're one of the
obviously.
If I
guys that
show
puts
you
up all the rules.
my alarms in the morning, 7:29 paddle goes off every day. So at 7:29, that's your alert. 7:30, you've got to be ready on the booking app to book your court in 9 days' time. And there's about 8 in my group that are on that. So generally,
And
You've
don't- you
just
don't
you've
put the
just
shit
leaked
on
your
the-
secret.
Yeah, I was
the
just
wall.
no, don't put number
What's
3.
number 3?
Number-
Yeah.
I'll
if, you
cut
get,
it
if you
out.
get number 3, you kind of might
It's
as well give it
impossible
back.
to
no
put
point.
one or two.
There's
Well,
no
half the
because
court
it
is out of
hurts.
bounds, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really? So
Who is going to be who is going to make paddle more available? Everyone says
We're
I
all
can't get a
trying.
it's
court.
happening.
Yeah.
It's happening. So there's applications
started
for
popping
courts
up
going in
everywhere.
everywhere now. So I worry I grew up playing tennis, and I worry for the future of tennis because I think paddle's becoming so
A lot of
popular
people
now.
at Lloyd
It's
are
so much
saying
more
get rid of the tennis
accessible, I
courts,
think.
but all
Or
the
it
tennis
will
courts
be.
are booked up as well.
I just think it's so social
Yeah.
as well. I mean, I don't know whether it's I don't know how many younger people are playing it, but as you get older and you start having kids and whatever else, it's hard to get your mates out for a beer.
Yeah.
But I see all my mates at 6 o'clock in the morning for 90 minutes. We have a laugh, and you've done your social element every morning. Everyone's burnt a few calories. It's a brilliant game. Brilliant
We
game.
we played
Yeah,
this
we love
morning. We try and play once a week together.
Where'd
love
you play?
At Rocket in Ilford.
Oh, do you?
It's
yeah,
good
yeah,
there.
which is lovely.
Yeah.
It's good.
But
But
genuinely,
it's-
I hadn't hit a ball or a racket or anything for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And about, what was it, 10 weeks ago, maybe
Yeah.
a bit, 3 months ago, played the
Longer
first
than
game.
that, I reckon.
Did you reckon? Yeah,
Start
but
of
we're
the
all
year.
hooked.
You
Addictive,
get the
isn't
bug.
it?
Yeah.
It's
so easy.
addictive.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wake up that early for anything else.
No, it's
apart from paddle.
addictive. So yeah, I started playing last summer. So I've grown up playing tennis. In my 20s, my old boss was obsessed with squash and racquetball. So we used to play at Connaught in in Chingford, and then left it alone in my 30s. Didn't play any racket sports. Started playing paddle last year. Literally within the first couple of weeks of playing, rolled my ankle, broke a bone in my foot, and went and see a consultant, and he said, all I'm seeing is guys in their 40s that still think they're 21, haven't picked up a racket for over 10 years, and you're flying around the court like a Ninja Turtle. But yeah, it's a brilliant game. Brilliant game. You have to come to our...
No, not as good as him. He's decent. I'm a golfer. I'm
Ooh.
golf. I'm not.
Did you
paddle.
play with Jodie?
Sorry,
over
that
there?
was an invite there, I think, somehow. We'll have to come to where.
Did you
we
play
have a paddle
Jed, did you
day.
play with Joe?
I was meant
Well, I
to.
think we'll be having
I
one
was meant
sooner
to
rather
play
than
out
later
here
as
for
well.
an
So,
open day
yeah.
instead. So
Yeah.
work to.
Where'd
go
you do
over.
yours at Rocket?
Rocket, yeah. So we...
Yeah,
never got to play on Friday.
actually.
Interesting.
We've done our golf day we do a golf day in September, so you're welcome to come to that at Abridge. And then January, we wanted to do something every 6 months. It's like, what can we do in January? No one wants to drink. Everyone's on a health kick. So we hired Rocket out. So we had it exclusively for a few hours, and we played this tournament. It was brilliant,
Yeah.
from like
It was good.
beginners to really good players, but it worked. Didn't
It worked itself out how they organised like the tournament setup, but after 2 or 3 games you was drawn against people of similar abilities.
Yeah.
So every game was competitive, and I think we played for about 15 minutes a game, didn't we? So
Yeah.
it was chop change
Roll,
chop. He was
roll,
playing
yeah.
against,
Yeah,
and it was
did you win?
a table.
Come third.
Who won?
Torren was in the final.
One's a client.
Torren really good.
Who did Torren play with? Matt?
Torren brought an ex-pro, a guy called Toby, that designs paddle courts.
Of course.
Torren was a
Honestly,
spectator.
Yeah, this
basically.
geezer served, and I was like, you could serve to me 6 times. I'm not getting it back. There's
That's
no
the
way.
problem. You want to play with people of a similar level.
Have you ever
It's
seen
just
Sophie
a
play?
nothing game, man.
Sophie played in our
she,
world.
She
got
played with us this morning.
Yeah,
She
got
bigs
drawn
herself
in.
up a little bit how good she is.
Oh,
but,
did she?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to cut this out.
She got put in her place, did she?
Oh, honestly.
It's like watching a game of table tennis.
Yeah.
I don't know about paddle tennis. but-
So what was good about what they'd done? So the guys at Rocket organised it. It's called a Mexicano style tournament. So in Mexicano, they'll send you out in your pairs, and you'll just play a random out the hat. But after, so you play the first, it was 15 minutes. You're supposed to play like 6 or 7 games, but straight away people were getting beaten 10-love and all this kind of stuff. But then you get pushed to the top of the group, and then
Yeah.
those that have got smashed goes to the bottom of the group, and then after 2 or 3 games, you settle into
Like
your
a handicap in golf.
But
isn't it?
basically,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You,
but it
you
worked
s-
itself out so quickly, didn't it?
yeah, you settle into your correct standard, and then every match becomes competitive.
That's a
That
really
works.
good idea.
Yeah, it's really
Brilliant.
good, and it flowed. Like no one was standing around. It was like literally every 5 minutes you was back out
Shot
playing
change.
again. So quite tiring actually.
You
I
whole,
think
the whole inside
And outside.
and outside.
took the whole lot out.
whole
Yeah,
thing,
took
yeah.
the whole lot out, and then they've done like, because it was January, they've done like smoothies and juices and healthy food and all the rest
Yeah,
of it.
no beers.
And everyone was on dry. Well, not
definitely
everyone,
sober,
but
Got a bit woke.
No, it's not
Yeah.
alcoholic there. I've had a look. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
it is.
Yeah.
The alcohol actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
He needs to
Craft,
get there
though.
at 6 a.m. He's having a look at the beer.
Well, it's rude not to.
Got to take a can with you.
5 o'clock somewhere.
There's a petrol station down the road.
Back to property. How can you two ever collaborate? How could that potentially come about?
sitting there thinking about this now, actually. So I had an inquiry this morning from someone at a church that's looking to. They let one of their church spaces out on kind of to play groups and parties and dance groups and all that kind of stuff. And it looks as though they want to commit to a more longer term tenant and look at other options around that. So
Give him a shout.
Give him a shout. So
I think there's probably a lot of crossover that we don't know about as well.
Definitely.
Like with the local propcos who you're pricing up their schemes, we're at the same time looking at it from the commercial element. And it's
Yeah, if
just,
there is a commercial
where's the
element to your
synergy? There
scheme.
probably is
Yeah.
crossover quite a lot that we don't know of.
Yeah.
And I presume you guys dipping your toe into the commercial sector, there's going to be more crossover.
Well, yeah, of course there is. And look, I think, from our perspective, it's not. I think the minute you start going like that and trying to put your arms around everything is the minute you start failing. So, we do a lot with commercial agents and land agents that have no new homes facility. So you might be working on a deal that has a consent or someone's had a pre-app. You just might want some prices. Can you put some prices in? We might be able to steer people your way, vice versa. Knowing your niche, being that it's places of worship, that's not necessarily our focus. So you're the speciality at it, rather than us trying to dilute the service that we could offer. We could elevate our own reputation by bringing these guys in that are specialists at it.
Can I just say, place of worship, education, nursery. That's
Sorry,
the
I
niche,
bolt that
yeah?
on. I missed that
Yeah,
bit.
No worries.
You're the
We
king of nurseries, aren't you?
Yeah.
I read that on the website.
Well, I didn't proclaim that. Let's just have it right. I mean, it's a
not
little
allowed
bit
within 10
nonsense.
metres.
Shall we?
He secretly loves it.
Yeah.
See,
Not allowed within 50 foot, but we'll go with that.
Yes,
anyway.
is that a title you want?
Yeah.
King of
Ted's not
Nurseries?
allowed near playgrounds.
No,
What's that? No, yeah.
You and me both. Yeah.
You can reject this question. How much are you spending on operational costs?
Operational costs. Oh wow, that is a. I don't know. I won't reject that. I like to be.
You could do it in a percentage wise as well, rather than.
Nah, fuck that.
It's
Give me the.
Fuck that. Give me the nuts and bolts. It's high.
Next, it'll
Look,
be how much are you worth?
I would say.
already got it.
I would say if you're going to take a prominent high street office, you're going to give that high street office every marketing capability, and you're going to employ a good branch sales manager, lettings manager, office administrator, some negs. You're probably looking at 40 grand a month.
Wow.
What? In
And each office you have, are they same targets? Is it all £1 million office, or do they differ?
yeah, I mean, look, they do different locations. So our highest turnover office turns over about 1.6.
What?
That's sales and lettings.
How important is the location of that that space on the high street, and how much emphasis do you put on the external branding and how it looks? It must be a
I
massive thing
think
to get people
I
through the
think I
door.
think that location's always going to play a part, particularly outside of London. In London, no one really comes in. Yeah, it's just board presence, word of mouth, reputation, social media, SEO, whatever. Outside of London, there is still a high street presence, and I think that will dilute probably over the next 5 to 10 years because everyone just spends so much time on their phones now, don't they? So, I think we've always said it's a combination of a lot of things. So, you know, your office needs to be good, your social media needs to be strong, you need to send X amount of letters and leaflets to stay, you know, kind of in people's peripheral vision. You need to sponsor schools and get boards up. It is a high expense industry, which makes it difficult to be profitable. You know, I'm not going to sit here saying that we're making absolutely millions out of agency. It's tough to do that now, which is why we've had to diversify into, you know, other industries to, you know, and we continue to pivot and diversify to go commercial to, I mean, like one of the more recent examples, so the residential lettings market, it's not attractive to be a residential landlord anymore due to taxation clampdowns, due to risks associated to tenants getting in a property and not paying their rent, and you can't get the buggers out. So rather than lose that reoccurring income by a receding lettings book, we've taken a view that we need to pivot, and we've entered the world of block management and estate management. It complements our new home space because we're having to set service charge budgets and whatever else, and it just gives us that reoccurring income. Plus, the more blocks we've taken on, we've then got a direct line into the existing landlords within those blocks. And if a seller wants to sell, we can offer them incentives like free management packs that we have control over turning round to get that business as well. So
trying to become a one-stop shop.
Basically, yeah, I don't want a pound to leave our business. No. I don't. You know, if we can then, if we then have to offer, you know, bring in a surveyor to you know, to go out on our behalf, then I'd look at it, because you just don't want to be, and unless you're working with in a collaborative way where you know you're passing business to each other, rather than just saying we don't deal with it. Sorry, you've got to go elsewhere. We don't want to be in that position.
Interesting. Would you ever do any agents become PLCs? Estate agents?
We've got to be pretty big.
Yeah. Not.
Is that something that you'd look that
the likes of
set a goal
Foxtons, and they've become listed historically, but I presume probably good at the time. Looking back now, maybe not so.
I think that it's
don't plug the enemy.
No,
yeah,
that's common knowledge.
Looking at trends. So at my old bosses, funnily enough, I was away with them in Portugal a couple of weeks ago. One of them just turned 50. They've sold their business, so they grew it to 8 or 9 offices, a managed portfolio of about 4,000 units through various acquisitions over time. And they started in 98, grew it to the successful business that it was. And they was very dominant in and around East London, you know, probably more so from about 2005 to 2015. They realised they got to the point where they couldn't really grow it anymore, and they sold it, and they made an awful lot of money from doing that. So I don't know. I think it's a young man's industry. Do I still want to be running an agency when I'm 60? Probably not.
How much would you sell for today?
Today, if you come and offered me a few quid.
What about the 50 grand?
Matt's 50 grand cash.
I don't cash. It's cash. It's a very hard question to answer because I'm 43, Michael's 45. Life isn't cheap, is it? It's kind of, you know, even if someone gave you 10 million, that's 5 million each. Taxman, you know, obviously entrepreneurs' tax has now changed as of the 1st of April. It's gone from 10% to, is it 17% now?
Yeah. Oh 18, my God.
18%. It's not enough. It's not enough. So, we're not at that stage yet. And I still think, without sounding cliche or cheesy, we've still got a duty of care to a lot of our staff. It's quite nice when you see, you know, someone like Ted that started with us as a youngster, living at home with his mum and dad. He's gone out and bought his house and he's having a baby and he's...
Not me personally.
Not me personally. Good luck with that.
Cheers.
Why has no one clapped?
I don't think he looks over the moon about it.
You having a kid?
Thanks, everyone.
When?
2 weeks.
any minute.
Oh wow.
my
She's
God.
9 months. Yeah, yeah.
You
If
ready?
my phone rang, it could be her. I could have had it by now.
Yeah.
Sitting here, I don't know.
You sure you don't want to check?
Yes. Hang on, I will.
Are you excited or are you nervous or both? Or
No, why not?
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. All of the above, basically. Yeah, first grandchild in the family. So a lot of expectations and a lot of things to come, really. I've heard multiple stories from multiple different people about what to expect. So
Just
good.
don't, just don't
Don't
ask.
talk to
Having a
Jack.
good
Don't
boss
ask
is
Jack.
the
important
journey,
with
yeah,
kids.
it is very important.
Neil, you'll know you've had kids. It's like
Oh, yeah, look, I think it's hard, isn't it? I think more so for the mother than it is the dad, really,
Course.
because their life changes astronomically, and yeah, look, you're on tap 24/7, and you need to be, because going to work isn't much of an excuse, really, when they're at home.
No
you
more
know,
golf.
with a screaming child covered in
Golf,
sick.
really, I've got a buggy, a pushchair with a slot for the golf club sitting.
You're dreaming.
So we'll be
Get
all right.
us out.
Yeah.
are
I'll
you
I'll
going
be all
on
good.
paternity leave?
I will be, yes. To be discussed.
you'll
Exactly
be ready
how
to come back to the office
I'm
pretty
sure I
quickly.
will.
Yeah.
Joe was literally back in the day after.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Was you?
no word of a lie.
They are. I mean,
You would, Joe. You was.
Yeah.
I've been in the afternoon.
the problem. First baby was week before COVID lockdown, and it was hell. And I got
Carnage.
shifted into my mother-in-law, so hopefully she ain't seeing this. But yeah, I was ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the second one, I mean, it's the best thing ever, but it's not easy. So I'm sure you'll.
No, we got very fortunate. We got a lot of support around us. So my mum and dad will be there. Her mum and dad as well. So yeah, there's enough people around to look after.
Boy or girl?
Yeah. Didn't find out. It's the first argument I've ever won. That ever.
What you did?
She wanted to find out. I didn't.
Oh,
So
really?
I don't know.
Why don't you want? You hoping for a boy?
Preference.
I don't have a preference. I don't
want
actually
a boy.
genuinely don't
He
have
wants
a
a boy,
preference.
obviously.
Every
Um,
man wants a boy.
mate,
surely.
There's
No,
a lot of money in female golf as well these days,
Yeah.
so it could be either or. Yeah, so I genuinely don't have a preference. I've got an inkling. I think boy, but that's just complete 50-50 guess.
In his head.
Yeah, little mini me. Well, don't need that.
I reckon you'll have a boy, but
Yeah,
I hope it's a
what's that based on?
healthy- You're wearing blue,
Fair enough.
Yeah. and it's, I just see blue right now. Blue.
Neil, you've
everywhere.
got kids. Any sort of in the future keen to bring them in, or you want them to do their own thing?
So Frankie, my eldest, he's just turned 17. He goes on work experience actually on Monday, so he's doing his A-levels. He works for us on a Saturday.
So
in
you've
the-
already brought
in
him
the Faden office, only because I just think it's, everyone says, oh, do you think he'll come in and work with you? The answer to that is no, because I was given nothing in life. I had to go out and work for it and earn it. And I think he should be the same, because I think it's good for character building. Whether he goes away and does something that, he brings that experience and those credentials to the business further down the line, and we join forces, I don't know. He's undecided what he wants to do. He likes the idea of property, but he also likes the idea of banking and that kind of city life. But like Ted, he's a keen golfer, and I wouldn't blame him or be surprised if he went out to Dubai for a few years and earned a few quid out there and lived in the sun and got away
Nice
from
places.
the dark cloud that is the UK at the moment.
Yeah.
See, he sounds like he's quite cool, quite bosh.
Quite posh.
What you say, bosh or bosh?
Bosh.
Oh.
Gosh.
Quite cool.
What is
Yeah,
that?
he's a
Little
proper
top
geezer. He's a
Yeah,
proper geezer. Like
Yeah.
Loves it.
he's one of the boys, isn't he? Really?
Yeah, he's a good lad.
Don't say after me. He's 6'5", and he's slim for a start. So yeah,
Loves a Guinness.
He's completely. He loves a
That's
Guinness.
my fault. I gave him his first Guinness.
How old is he?
18, 17.
Frankie Leahy.
Leahy, yeah.
Did he go to Rodin Valley?
No, he goes to Davenant.
Davenant. Interesting. I reckon my little brother might know him.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
How old's your
God,
little
you're a
brother?
Kid. 20.
Yeah. So
I'll ask.
Yeah, ask.
Okay.
I'm getting to do it all again. So my oldest is 28, and my young.
I thought he was announcing he's having another kid.
Not again.
Fucking hell.
Sixth one.
My youngest is 1. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an
so I've
age
got
gap.
5 of them.
I've
so-
got a younger sister. There's 10 years between me and my
Yeah.
younger sister, and then I've got an older brother as well. There's 12 between
Yeah.
my brother and my sister as
How
well.
old's your oldest?
Imagine having
Oh,
28.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
not
You've
quite
got
the same.
12 siblings.
No, Matt, listen.
There's a 12-year
It's
gap.
12 years between my older brother and my younger sister.
Right.
There's not 12 of us in between it.
But I'm loving it. I'm like a grandparent now. And honestly, those sleepless nights, where the missus is pulling her hair out. I've done it. I'm out the room. You know, I actually enjoy it. I'm like, I know it ends. Just enjoy
Yeah,
it. However tired I am, it's going to be fine. This
Yeah.
moment will pass, and I'm loving it. I'm like,
Second one definitely is easier for that, for sure.
yeah.
So good luck with the first one.
Thanks, mate.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
I would recommend talking to Al if you ever need some fatherly advice.
Not Joe.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, he's good.
Good with sexual advice and everything else as well.
Hey, how's your podcast going, by the way?
Yeah, good. I was saying to Joe and Alex on the way in, we've had some audio issues, so it was quite good to come and see your setup and see how you guys do it and what you do. So I'm a big believer if it's not done right, don't do it. So there was a few tweaks that we wanted to make. So
Do you is it like a home setup, or do you go to a
it's
studio?
in our office
In
in
the
Loughton,
office,
yeah.
isn't it?
So we kind of the way that we developed the office, we've got kind of a sofa area which forms part of the kitchen, so almost like a staff room, and then we've got like a glassed off boardroom meeting room, so we can use both rooms. But yeah, just wanted to kind of get the audio right, really, and it's just been a busy few months, so fighting fires. So once that settles down, we'll get some more guests on.
Okay. Is there anyone that you want to call out to potentially come on in the future? Any agents or someone in the industry that
On
you
your
think-
podcast?
Yeah.
Where's Torrin at?
Yeah, Torrin's a good one. He's been on ours.
He's been on
actually.
ours. Yeah, he was first one, wasn't
Yeah,
I saw that clip.
he? Yeah.
yeah. Who else?
Who else could we add? Torrin and Matt would be good. If you could get Matt, I presume you know Matt as well that works
Yeah.
at Torrin. Yeah. They'd be a good laugh.
Are there any characters within the?
I know Tom Schweer, who you've had.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's that was good.
You want a big character?
Well,
Yeah.
we're trying to get V-Fund on. So Vince. Vince.
Yeah,
and Dom.
Vince would be a
played-
good one. Vince, yeah, Adam and Keir.
Yeah.
If you want a character, the biggest character that I know in agency is a guy called Nick Davis,
Yeah.
who's a land agent. He's a wild man.
Was
Get
he
him
at
on.
Sterling Ackroyd?
He was at Sterling
Okay,
Ackroyd, yeah. So
I've heard
if you've
many a
heard
story.
of Nick,
Yeah. Not sure how much of it.
they're all true. They're absolutely all true.
Really.
Oh, he's
I was a
getting
bit
on.
gutted
Oh,
actually
come out.
because I missed out on him. He was in Mippin and he was on he had a boat out there, and I got invited to go to this boat on the Wednesday, but I was flying back because we had clients at Cheltenham, so I was a quick in and out of Mippin this year. I flew in on the Monday, flew out on the Wednesday, but I've heard that the boat party was a good one. But yeah, if you want a character, he's your man.
I've
Is he
heard
one of the
many
good
a
guys?
story.
He's what?
Is he one of the good guys?
He's one of the good guys. Yeah, he tells a tale. He's got a few stories.
All right.
You get the
Well-
Kingsley boys on, interior
Yeah.
design and things with Max Saville as well, who's done agency. They're
Yeah,
good guys.
Max Saville's a good guy. Yeah,
Yeah, they're good
Yeah.
guys.
Well, shout
Yeah.
out all the names mentioned.
You'll have a laugh with them.
Have you got a hill you want to die on? Like we had Tom on talking about farming, and he really went on hard on that. Anything that you want to shout about that bugs you in the market, or
I just think people that are obstructive for the sake of being obstructive.
Massively.
I just think, common sense has got to prevail. And I know, the biggest issue that we have is probably the same as you guys, right? It's the conveyancing side of the transaction. And I think conveyancers, to be fair to them, they're probably underpaid for the risk and the association they have to each transaction. And I think their exposure to risk is so great that it's really draining and slows the process down. But there's also, just common sense areas to it. If you get a contract and you're applying for searches, go through that contract, raise your initial inquiries, get those answered. By the time your searches come back, raise your post-search inquiries, get those answered, then you're ready to report. Solicitors that want to wait until everything's done to then raise their inquiries are my biggest bugbear. You might as well sit on your hands for 3 months and do nothing until you're ready to do something, and by then it's too late. Look, I'd love a market that buyers and sellers could commit earlier. So there should be some kind of financial collateral exchanged in the early process, and that will kind of stop people from walking away so freely. That's our biggest issue, really.
I also think there should be some kind of deposit on a viewing.
Interesting.
What, to turn up to a viewing?
How many wasted appointments and hours out the office where you've
Yeah.
gone? I've driven an hour and a half before to an appointment that's confirmed a day before, if not less, and then you
They
stand there
get a
for
text message and an email
text
that
message and
morning
an
as
email
well. Our
that
system
morning
sends it
to
out.
say that this is your appointment. You hear nothing. You sit there for half an
so
hour.
it's returned. But if they don't turn up,
Yeah.
they
That could be
lose
very
it.
Yeah.
off-putting.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah, it could be, but
Yeah,
at
but
least
if
you know
they're
the
serious
people that
about
are turning
buying a
up.
house,
Are turning up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
Especially if you're traveling an hour and a
It's
half.
the, I mean, look,
especially.
that's an example, but it can be as simple as a 10-minute. Even
Yeah,
time
and
is
if they end up-
important to everyone in the
Yeah.
industry, and you're taking your. I think that gets forgotten sometimes. You're taking your time out of your
Yeah.
day, albeit it's your job to, but to show some people around certain properties and things
I think they should have
And-
to go there and take a photo of the property
at the
to
front
show
door,
that they've been
like the
there,
postman.
Yeah.
and
Before
then
you-
book the viewing.
Yeah, and then
the
we'll
amount of
turn.
times you get there, oh yeah, love the house, don't like location.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why don't
yeah,
you come and look at location
Yeah.
before you drag me out of my office?
That's what I mean.
wasted
There's
my
so much
time and
wasted
said-
time in our industry sometimes that can just be so easily avoided.
Interesting.
Um,
Well, maybe you could give them a little deal. Like if they end up getting it, you can take that deposit off the price.
Well, no, it's only chargeable if
literally
they
be-
don't turn up.
if they don't turn up, yeah.
So it's like if they turn up, they haven't
get-
wasted your
You
time.
know, like when you,
Yeah,
you
obviously
go
they
to a
get it
restaurant
back,
and you have to
and you have to
put
put
you have
your
to
card
put
down
you have
just
to put
in-
your
Yeah.
card details down, and if you don't turn up, it takes 40 quid a head, basically. That's what it should be.
You've never done that, have you?
Yes, I have.
Where?
McDonald's.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Sheesh. Could
Can't
be
remember.
cash.
I think Wimpy.
Nice.
I think we'll wrap it up there. Been a pleasure. Thank you so much. I can't wait to get some aircon.
Yeah.
Yeah, great to meet you both. Had a good time.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
It's an
Until
honour.
next time. God bless.